4, 3.
Good evening, and welcome to the Reel McCoy. I'm your host, Meffistoe, and always with me, my hetero life mate, my feelings. How are you, sir?
Good evening, buddy.
What is the Reel McCoy, you might ask? The Reel McCoy is your weekly movie podcast where we ask you to go and watch a movie. You watch it, come back to us, and we break it down for you, and we just geek out on it completely because we love them's movies. Last week, we asked you to go and watch a fantastic movie, very relevant movie called Falling Down with Michael Douglas. Sir, let's start with how many times have you watched it this week?
3 times in total. I was able to get enough time to spare just to go over some specific scenes and make sure I had all my notes correct. So, yeah.
Cool. I've been working on a project that I've told you about. You know about this for a very long time. You said, "Why the hell are you doing this to yourself?" And I very innocently said, "Why not?" So I'm working on a project.
I did hear you got to see one of your favorite movie, now new favorite films of all time from your WhatsApp message. It's a sequel.
The what now? Oh, you mean that?
Yes.
And of course, we have a surprise guest. I don't know if you can hear me. Drex.
What's up?
Hey, Drex.
Drexel.
Your
Hey, buddy.
microphone is either not set to the correct microphone or...
Uh-oh. Hold up.
Yeah.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
no, I can hear him.
No, I can hear you
Nah.
fine. It's just the other one. It's the other microphone.
Hold up.
Anyways, October is coming. So what I did, that's your fan. Anyway, so what I did for October is I'm going to watch one horror movie every single day and have a review of it every single day. I'm going to go through a few movies that I have seen and a few movies that I've never seen before. The first one that I have not seen, it's going to be the first movie I'll review. The review is already up. It's going to be live tomorrow evening-ish, my time, afternoon for the States. It's called The Babadook, an Australian.
I saw that.
an Australian horror movie. It's
and I told you
pretty-
how many times, like, you need to see the Babadook. You need to see that. And I got the message from you, like, oh my God, this movie's amazing. I'm like, I know.
This movie is absolutely great. Absolutely great. I enjoyed it. Not for the horror aspect, but for everything that is like the subtext of the movie. But we're gonna have.
I'm gonna hop out and then hop right back in. I think my camera did something weird. I'll be right back.
Okay, no problem. So, Falling Down. I've seen it once this week. I didn't need it to see, and didn't need to see it more than once. It was just a refresher. I've seen it a few months back, just when I was editing the short for it, which was fun. And you know what? Let's just, you know what? We'll not wait for Drex because we have a big show ahead of us. Let's just jump into our first segment of the night. It's called Behind the Screens.
Action, take 2.
I didn't mention it, but of course, Twitter, Instagram, email, all that stuff. You know where to find me. If you don't, just wait for the end of the show.
Wait till
Anyway,
the end. Yeah.
Behind the Scenes is where we go to All My Feelings and we get the lowdown on everything behind the screens, the scenes, everything. Take it away, sir.
Okay, first to start off with, this film has a lot of controversy behind it. We're going to go through a lot of it throughout just this segment and throughout the film. But to start off with, just at the beginning of it, the preface, a $25 million budget but $96 million gross. The film did very, very well for itself, especially it being considered so controversial, even at its initial release. The film inspired so many different things in different genres. It's mind-boggling. It's the inspiration for Iron Maiden's "Man on a Ledge," for several different pop punk albums. The Foo Fighters basically just ripped it off completely for their song and the music video for Walk.
Yes. I've actually watched everything today. So I've watched the Foo Fighters one. I've watched the Iron Maiden one, where I completely forgot. I know the chorus. The chorus is falling down.
Yeah. And also, this is just for those who actually are big industrial fans from the mid 90s all the way to the early aughts. Frontline Assembly had an entire song where it actually had the segment of Nick going, give it to me with his left hand. Yeah. as the sample in it. Nice. And also, I'm an American, you're a sick asshole. Yeah, that's also sampled in the track. But we have, so go back to the very beginning of it. Originally, the script was turned down by every studio. No one wanted this at all.
Yeah, nobody wanted to touch this one. And the guy who wrote it is it called Abbey Rowe Smith?
Yes.
Or Ebe?
Yeah. Ebe, yeah.
Ebe. He was just on the verge of just throwing it to the trash.
Damn.
Well, the thing was that like the producer that was interested in the project, Arnold Capelson, was actually considering taking it and pulling it down from any like studio recognition and going direct to try to make it a direct to cable film.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no.
But that was turned down when it was Joel Schumacher actually read it, found it outrageously interesting, and sent it to Michael Douglas. Michael Douglas read it and thought it was one of the best scripts he had ever read. Then Michael Douglas showing interest with Joel Schumacher's backing, studios come a running with money.
Yeah. And isn't it true that Michael Douglas was like, I love it, but I need like a break? He was currently on a sabbatical because after Basic Instinct, he wanted to take several years off of acting. Yeah, he did like back-to-back movies, Basic Instinct and another one. I don't have the name here, but he was like, I'm just gonna just gonna wait a little bit and not do anything.
Yeah, and what's so great is also just the opening scene by itself is such just a labor of love, because it's a direct homage to Fellini.
Is it 8.5?
Yeah, 8.5. The opening scene at 8.5, and the reason why that was done was because Douglas wanted it included.
Yeah, star power.
Yeah.
All right.
But speaking of Michael Douglas, there were other
You're good, Drex.
people
You're good.
that were really considered for the role of defense, which I do love the fact that they don't actually ever refer to him by his, even in the rolling credits, he's only listed as defense.
Yeah, not Bill
Nice.
Foster.
Yep.
Not Bill Foster, yeah. But Jack Nicholson was considered.
Keep going.
Alec Baldwin.
That seems too obvious. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Jack
Yeah.
Nicholson, like an unhinged person. Drex nailed it right there. Too on the nose. Just too much.
Yeah.
Alec Baldwin could kind of see it. Mel Gibson, which this was before he actually did go crazy.
Yeah.
So
But honestly, I think Mel Gibson would have been predictable only because, okay, remember, look at his character in Lethal Weapon, right? The whole
Yeah, that's
dynamic
fair.
between
With,
Riggs and Murtaugh is that
yeah.
he's the loose cannon, right?
Yeah.
And it's just basically a darker version of that character. Where I think Michael Douglas one was like, huh, really, Michael?
Wait, there's a
Two.
full list.
There's a full list.
here.
There's a list of
I
people who turned it down.
Oh yeah,
damn.
there were the two that I thought were the most interesting, which would have been really kind of just like, okay, I could see them being a shock in this role. Michael Keaton,
Yep.
especially at that time, because he was just came off of being
after
Batman.
Returns.
Just came off Batman Returns. Yep. I
And
can see that.
Harrison Ford.
I can see Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
Snapping. Yep.
Do you want the full list?
Yeah, you can go ahead with the rest of the list. I only want to include some of those names.
Ed Harris, Robert De Niro, Al Pacino, Nick Nolte, Jeff Bridges, Dustin Hoffman, and Robin Williams.
Yeah.
I can
Williams
see Nick
and
Nolte nailing it also.
yeah, Nick Nolte could have done it. And
Yep.
you, Drex, you were here with us when we did the 1 hour photo.
Yep.
The side character as defense.
Mm-hmm.
You can see it, but not in
Yeah.
1993.
No, yeah.
It's a
timing is
different-
everything.
It's a different era of Robin Williams. But yeah,
I can see it.
that's the name that popped up for me.
You know, this is the funny thing about casting is when we watch a movie, especially when it works, right? That's the big thing. When it works, right? We can't imagine anyone else. You know what I'm saying? Someone says, well, these were the other people. You're thinking, really? Like Will Smith for the role of Neo. It's like, really? Like Will Smith? Like
Exactly,
it just no. So it's always been a thing to me. Like when it comes to like, you know, and let's be honest, casting directors don't get enough credit.
Oh,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah, that's categorically true. Well, that are also the people that, as we've discussed so many films, Drex, which you're aware of too, where when someone actually writes a project specifically for an actor and
Yep.
they're brought on, and you could not imagine it because it's like, no, this role was tailor made for this person.
I think Tarantino is the most obvious candidate for that.
Oh, Tarantino, yeah.
Because when he
Sofia
writes a character, he
Coppola,
says
yeah.
it. He's like, no, I wrote this
Yeah.
character. And like, so all the lines, I imagined this actor saying them. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm. Yeah.
So,
So we're going to get to a little bit of controversy here. So
Mhm.
when it was released, the film, which I find it so outrageously entertaining, and you could tell that this film was obviously engrossing and really touched on some key issues because it was criticized by both angles. It was criticized for being racist propaganda,
Mhm.
and then on the other side, it was considered by one member of the KKK wrote, "This is the biggest piece of quote unquote anti-white bullshit I've ever seen."
No, and
That's
let's be
so off
honest.
the mark. Yeah.
That's just okay. Let's be honest. This movie came out in 93. 30 years later, do you guys think there would be any difference if that came out? Like, think about who would hate this movie today in the current year?
Oh, everybody.
Both sides.
Everybody.
Both sides.
Everybody. Yeah. Yeah.
Except for, here's the thing. Do you know who it would resonate with? This movie, ironically enough, would resonate with the common dude, which is that's who it's resonated with back then. Because Joker was this way, right?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Same thing. Like, what is the real difference between Joker and this movie? Overall, although this movie's more meant, I mean, kind of like a dark satire more so, and Joker's more of like a character study. But I will say this: if you look at the protagonists and their journey, it's the exact same basic journey. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like you see that slow decline
into madness.
Yeah, they just descend, and the little glimmer of hope that gets stamped out causes them to push further into the madness.
Yeah.
That's actually a very apt comparison there. The only difference there being the fact that Joker really plays on more of the downtrodden that are mentally ill in
Agreed.
Joker than the socially downtrodden in Falling Down.
Yep.
Which again, at the time, the film was so poignant because, again, just case in point, production delays were just prominent throughout the film because they were trying to shoot on location, but this was also during the LA riots.
Mm-hmm.
So they had to shut down production for multiple weeks, had to move it to the Warner Brothers lot to do a lot of just in-house shooting. And when they tried to actually get back on to do site shooting and everything, they were turned down by the LAPD on multiple occasions because it still was considered quote unquote not safe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's sort of apropos that they shot it during the Rodney King riots, and it was
the LA riots,
dealing with a lot of race relations, especially in LA, especially dealing with like cops dealing with minorities or not even minorities, but all that stuff. It just pulled it up to the surface. And it's really interesting that it's Robert Duvall that was cast as the main guy, because he was the main guy in the movie Colors with Sean Penn, which dealt with the LA cops and racism and all that stuff.
Which they actually even show the same mural multiple times. That was in Colors. Yeah. But what's interesting too is just the fact that what they had, that's the condemnation on both sides of the aisle. It got so bad that the actual the film was actually banned for release in South Korea.
Oh,
yeah, because of the Korean dude, the Korean shop dude.
Yep.
But who actually isn't Korean?
He's Chinese.
Yeah, right.
And also, well, we're going to talk about that scene later because it's funny where it's just like that. No.
No. I know what scene you mean.
The great part about this film too is the fact that they played very close attention to the setup to actually make it seem as if Prendergast, Robert Duvall's character, was able to follow the entire pathway, the mayhem that he wrought.
Yeah.
Because it actually is just the way that they had it completely set up is you can actually follow that direct path today. But
it's not. It's in the movie. It kind of implies that he goes directly from where he was to like Santa Monica Pier. I think it's Santa Monica Pier.
Yeah, when you meet the daughter. Yep.
Yeah, but he goes through Beverly Hills. And one of the comments back in the day was, this doesn't make sense why it goes all the way around. And the retort to that is Joel Schumacher saying, well, this is not a documentary.
Yeah. But still, just even with the timing with him actually moving on foot, you could actually make that trip.
It should take an hour and a half to where he was to Santa Monica Pier by about an hour and a half.
Yeah, it's very interesting the way that the designer was, the set designer was able to pull that off. Because there are a lot of places a lot of films we've discussed before have these errors in continuity and location, where it's like, well, again, even with Hudson Hawk, where it's like, well, no, actually that's 3 miles away from where he would have fallen off of the ambulance. How the hell did he get there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But to go back to other interesting things, the haircut was actually a direct idea of Joel Schumacher and the lead stylist on set, Lena Garshich. And Douglas attributed that to his main way for him with the glasses to actually become more method as Foster or as Defense. Because he thought without it, people would recognize me more as Michael Douglas, and they would see me as a more empathetic character or someone you could empathize with due to my previous roles.
Haven't they
They
designed it over like a 50s office worker look? Sort of.
No, they wanted to make it look more like a militarized. Someone who had just gotten out, because if you look at it's just basically just a buzz cut, but it's just a lot
sort of the
out.
FBI look without the jacket.
Pretty
Pretty
much.
much so. Yeah.
But I think
Anything
he has
else?
an everyman quality to him.
Very much so.
You go through the movie, and to your point about the 1950s or 60s, like he could easily fit in even with that buzz cut, or he could just slightly let it grow a little bit and fit right in, right? Just wear a trench coat or something and fit right in, and people go, oh yeah, he's just another guy going to work, just another working man with a lunch pail.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's great that you pulled that up with the trench coat, because we always think about that one terrible thing that happened in 1999.
There's that incident in Colorado.
Yes, the costume designer and Schumacher pulled out the juxtaposing outfits. So after he goes in to the surplus store afterward, he is previously wearing the white t-shirt with the tie.
Yep.
Right. Afterward, he's wearing basically army fatigues. And it was supposed to just be his point of no return.
Because he kills for the very first time. Because before that, he doesn't really kill. He just maims. And when he kills, that's, at this point, he's the bad guy.
Yes. And speaking of, the prop coordinator worked in tandem to ensure that the briefcase, losing the briefcase, him throwing it away and giving it away, was tantamount. So when you watch the scene, it has such an impactful effect because him losing the briefcase and picking up the duffel bag is essentially him losing his past and moving toward the future.
Interesting.
Well, especially because he doesn't actually have a job at this point, because that's one of the big reveals of the movie is the whole when Nick and I always joke about that scene where they're like, so where's he been going every day? That's a good question. Like, what has he been doing? Where has he been going? And it's like, I always took that scene to mean that, because I remember that, and I always viewed the briefcase as that his whole getup was basically his persona. That's how he identified
his facade,
himself, right? His facade. Once he gets rid of that and changes clothes, he has basically ditched that facade. Now, the person that you see is the true him. And there's a video. I don't know if you guys have ever seen the channel Lessons from the Screenplay. He talks about Collateral, and in Collateral, he talks about how Jamie Foxx's character Max, his true self is just hidden in there, right? The strong self.
We talked about it when we covered it. Yeah, we talked about it when we covered it.
He's so weak in the beginning, right? He's weak-willed and everything, but you keep seeing it get closer, like pushing out of him, right?
Yeah,
and that's kind of how I saw. I remember seeing this movie as a kid, and obviously saw it multiple times since then. And of course, the infamous whammy burger scene. It's like what people don't understand why
we're talking about
that. I think this is how most people feel, right? So everyone, I think your average dude, your average working man, regardless of color, feels like Michael Douglas. My dad loves this movie. He's sitting in the next room because he's got knee replacement. And like if I turn this movie on for my dad does not see, oh, there's racism because look, it's a white guy saying something. And they forget. I think that was that Bondi Curtis Hall that's saying,
yes,
when
they were wearing the same exact.
Yep. Well, we were going to talk about that when we get to
we'll talk about
the not economically viable.
You're not economically viable. Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
The only last thing is there have been a lot of articles written about the fact that they really condemned the film, given the fact that he initially tries to commit suicide by cop, and how he tries to pull that off as a way to get life insurance money. No, that does not work that way because you are currently and have committed multiple felonies. So life insurance doesn't pay out.
All right, cool.
It does not work that way.
I don't know. Here it does. Anyway, one thing that I have here that that I don't think you'll mention, but we'll see. There are several references to London Bridge is falling down.
Yeah.
There's the Pendergrass's ringtone on his phone. There's the cake with the bridge on it, and also he's going to retire to Lake Havasaw, Arizona, where the actual old London Bridge
was rebuilt. Yeah,
is rebuilt. I think it's 71. 71. So that's interesting.
Well, and also it just when Foster is picking up the snow globe for Adele, his daughter, what is playing?
It's London Bridge. Actually has the London Bridge thing, I think.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna jump right through the actual film. I just need to do a few things here before we go into our first. You know what? Let's do our first game of the day, right? Drex, you remember this? This is called Missing Marquee.
Yep.
Missing Marquee for the audience and for the uninitiated. We take 10 posters of movies, have their text written off, display them, and Drex will have to guess which movie this is. I was preparing for a lightning round because this is going to be easy. Let's see how fast you'll be. Here we go.
Child's Play.
Child's Play.
Oh, that's with fuck. I know that. It's about the money.
It's about the money.
The money. The shit. I know that movie. Billy Bob Thornton. Is it Bandit?
The trailer was better than the actual movie.
Yeah,
yes.
And I know the movie. I know the movie because I remember the money. That was the whole play. Oh my god.
Chat, please help Drex.
I was gonna say Bandit. I know that's not the name.
It is close. It is not one bandit. It is bandits.
Yeah, bandits. Okay, yeah. Of course, Conan. Oh, that's Conspiracy Theory.
Conspiracy Theory is correct.
Ooh.
I absolutely adore this poster.
I love this.
I like that poster. I'm trying to think what fucking movie that is. I'm gonna guess Fargo.
Fargo is correct.
Yep, and of course that's The Big Lebowski. Oh, The Bodyguard. That's easy. Untouchables, easy. Twins. That's a classic, man. Of course, Sleepless in Seattle.
Nope.
Oh wait, my bad. Hold on, wait. When Harry Met Sally, my fault.
When Harry Met Sally. When Harry Met Sally.
When Harry Met Sally. Yeah.
The poster for Sleepless in Seattle looks
exactly the same. Yeah.
But the backdrop. Yeah, but the backdrop is Seattle.
I had that quick second where, because I saw Meg Ryan, I go like this. Oh yeah, and I went like this. Shit, Billy Crystal. Like,
yeah,
they're literally exactly the same. It's the same poster.
It's exactly the same.
Yep.
And Meg Ryan is exactly where she is on the other poster as well.
Yep.
Opposite Tom Hanks. But yeah, cool. I told you it's a lightning round. I just flipped it on. And I didn't know if you're coming or not coming. It wasn't definite when I set everything up. And Nick was like, he sent me a message in my 2 a.m. I'm in. 2 hours later at 4 a.m. he was like, I'm out. It's like, okay.
The time zones are awful, man. Time zones are awful.
No, I kind of expect it. And I told them, if you have a definite, just send me a message. It's not like it's gonna wake me during the night to check my messages, right? I'll get up in the morning. I'll look at it. But no worries, man. So let's dive into one of.
You know what I miss? I'm gonna be honest with you. Your intro, as great as it is it always strikes me as tragic, because that's
tragic.
Gone.
Why?
Because that era of movies, right? Good movies is gone.
Oh, yeah.
You see what I'm saying? It's okay. Okay, let's say you're a music fan, right? Let's say you're a rock fan. If you listen to any rock before the year 2000, in one hand you get nostalgic, right? Yeah. But then you think about what's out now, you're like, it becomes sad. Like, so you show, you got Terminator 2, you got Big Trouble in Little China, all of these classics, even just those posters, right? Look, this is for all the guys out there. It wasn't unheard of for your lady at the time to convince you to go see a rom-com in the 80s and 90s because they were at least watchable. Like, How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days was, even though that came out in, I think, 2003 or something, that was still watchable. Like, a guy wouldn't be like, no, I'm not seeing this. This sucks. And that's kind of what those posters just show.
I have an answer for you, Drex. And I've been thinking about it for a very, very long time because ever since I got into trying to talk to people live, not only just on chat, one of the things that comes up is the fact that a lot of people miss the old movies. It's not just nostalgia. It's about the writing. It's about the direction. And it's not only that. It's about the way cameras are set up. And you don't know why that kind of draws you in. It's the amalgamation that makes a movie a movie. The script,
whole process,
the process, the casting, the stuff that make a movie a movie. And this is and I'll let you speak in a second. This is something that comes up rather recently when I started doing my project for October, going to watch really new horror films and really old horror films, and you can see the difference in pace, but the camera work, the setups, the script that kind of pulls you into a certain direction is there because the genre is there. Whether it's a sci-fi thriller, a psychological thriller, a straight up gore horror, the points of references, the stuff that pushes the director and the actors into the action parts rather than the setup parts are relatively the same. It's down to how good the story is and how good the execution is. Yes, all my feelings.
But what you find really that's really tangential about that, and is the fact that the way things used to be is it wasn't just about it being a business.
I agree.
It wasn't just about it making money, and that's where you get especially when it comes to those things. That the list of horror films that you're going to be watching, Meph, if you notice that any of the films that I recommended to you to watch or anyone else did, anything that is past, I would say 2004,
probably independent,
is considered an independent horror
film. There it is. Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
So all my feelings. This is the thing that I noticed. Mm-hmm. The soul is gone now. That's what changed.
Very much so. Yeah.
You can watch the original Halloween, and you can tell these people had a blast making it. You can tell they cared about it.
Oh yeah, and we discussed how much we actually like as horror fans. Well, me as personally as a horror fan, and anyone who is a you go back and watch any of Carpenter's work, especially Halloween, obviously, you can see the labor of love that movie was, and we discussed it before when we did the review about that in depth about how everybody on that set loved working on the production.
I've got a point of reference because I've seen the original Fog that is from John Carpenter. Mm-hmm. And one of the things, and you said a labor of love, one of the things that is in the movie, but I don't cover it on the review, is the fact that they shot the movie, they did the whole thing, and they went back, started editing it, and John Carpenter goes like, this is missing something. It's missing a lot of bits that connect everything. So they went back, reshot reshot the stuff that they need to make the movie a whole movie rather than just an amalgamation of scenes that have some sort of a connection, but you needed that old-timey story at the end that starts you off going on that path. And it just escalates and escalates and escalates. And what you expect of this movie is very simple, but then you get a little bit of information dumps here and there, and it kind of makes it what it is, and not just a ghost story with some guys and some fog and they kill everybody. Mm-hmm. It makes it much, much better. And John Carpenter is still wasn't happy with it. So he made Escape from New York and made it much better. Anyway,
but just for one point before we go into it, Paul in the chat had a great fucking point, is the fact that it has become so cookie cutter, and what is really the most the best example of it is the absolute skyrocketing success of superhero films and their dramatic just bombing out in the last 2 years.
Yeah, dude, that has collapsed. We know
that genre
Scorsese talked
is
about
dead.
that. Dude, they played that genre out, and this is what's crazy. Do you know what? So this kind of goes into the whole independent thing, because so obviously superhero movies are big pictures, right? They're not independents. However, I've noticed something though. The only ones that people get excited about are standalones. They got excited. Yeah, think about it. Joker is not connected to the world, right? For the most part, no real connection. The Batman is not part of the bigger universe. You see what I'm saying? Just like Nolan's trilogy. Because of that, it basically kind of exists outside of that. That's why you don't hear people say, I got superhero fatigue, right? No one ever gets Batman fatigue. You ever notice that? You can make a bad Batman movie and someone says, I didn't like Batman and Robin, but you never heard someone say, I'm just done with Batman. You see what I'm saying? You can put Mask of the Phantasm in theaters right now and people will go watch it.
Oh yeah, well the same thing with the different interpretations of Spider-Man themselves, with Miles Morales as the offshoot of the different versions of the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, and some people don't like it, but some people do like it. It makes money, so enough people like it enough, and we're during that whole superhero fatigue. But we have another superhero here. You can't really show everything, but I like the fact that when he sits down in the car, you get outside shots of the stuff that bothers him outside of the car and stuff that bothers him inside of the car. So the heat, the flies that are in the car, kind of oppressive, LA heat. And the outside of the car, all the people honking their horns, the children having a blast because they are children, and this is very intentional. Big fucking American flag at like showing to you, and then the face of Bill Foster, defense.
With all sweating and everything,
sweating and annoyed, and just when he gets out of the car, it's like, I'm out. He's not even
going
talking about. It's like, I'm out, and everybody's like, "What? Where the fuck are you going?" And he's like, "I'm going." He's done. He's going. He's gone. And this is
what's interesting as a gaffe too is they couldn't get the license plate right in different shots.
Really?
It has the hyphen in certain shots, and it doesn't have the hyphen in other ones. It's like when they're trying to push the car out, it doesn't have the hyphen. When it shows them there, it has it. Yeah,
yeah.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah, it's like, why did? Okay.
And we didn't say good evening to everybody in the chat. So Chuck Jose, Paul Harley, and of course Daisy Girl Williams joining us tonight. So the first thing he kind of does is call the family, or he calls the wife, and then he wants to call her again because she hung up on him, and he's out of change. So he goes into this Korean.
Well, no, she hung up because he couldn't find the courage to say anything, which is again something that you follow throughout the entire film, where he becomes more and more unhinged, where he is just outright at the end, he's just threatening her.
Oh yeah, and the whole storyline with the wife, when it starts here, it sets up a lot of stuff that is going along the way. It sets up his motives, why he's doing what he's doing, but again, we don't know yet. You just get a little bit of pieces of the puzzle running in, because the first time he goes crazy is this.
Oh yeah. Oh god. Yeah.
Yes.
This
scene, the bodega scene. Yeah.
Every point of where he's stuck and then moves forward with bigger and better weapons is just a phenomenal scene. This is the American gripe with inflation. Technically,
Yeah.
this is the everyman's gripe with Western inflation to me. It's like, it used to cost 50 cents. Now it costs $1.50.
What's great is he even says it right. I'm just standing up for my rights as a consumer.
Yes.
And his whole thing is, I read a side review, which I thought it was so apt. It made me laugh out loud. And him going through is like, this is the worst game of Price is Right.
Oh
Yeah.
with dire consequences when he wrestles the bat away from the Korean dude, and he's like, "You were gonna hit me with this? Why would you want to hit me with this? I just wanted a Coke." And he starts wailing on some stuff, and he teaches the shop owner what prices are supposed to be. And I was like, "Oh my God."
So this is the thing though. When you think about Defense's viewpoint of the world, like you said, as his weapons escalate, right? When you get into the Tech 9, of course, capped with the bazooka, of course, right? The infamous bazooka scene with the road. But if you notice, what he's really upset at is he kind of represents kind of like the guy who slips through the cracks of the American dream, right? About, a family and this and having an honest job, making an honest living. And so what he's really, every time he says it's supposed to be, right? When he gets the whammy burger, right? The reason why he's saying it's supposed to be is because, like, here's the thing. Similar to the American flag, notice his reality is not what he looks up to, right? When he looks up at the whammy burger, you guys remember how big and juicy it is? But when he looks down at his burger, it's crap. When he looks up at the American flag, like you said earlier in the beginning, see, there's an ideal there, right? It's the idealized version. But when he looks at his reality, he's sweating in the car. You see that it's a theme throughout the movie. He always is supposed to be.
And the screenwriter actually attributed that to, when he was writing the story, he wanted to make the character of Defense be essentially the old guard, where they were basically sold a false bill of goods.
Correct.
At the end of it, they were like, well, this is not what I was supposed to be given as my reward for being who I was supposed to be my entire life.
Yeah, he sacrificed. So basically he played the game and lost. Right? That's basically what happens. Like, the reason why, and let's be honest, in the modern day society, that's just happening much younger. You see what I'm saying? Like, young kids, you guys wonder why these kids are snapping when they're like teens and 20s and doing some in crazy levels of violence, right? Well, think about it. Imagine growing up in this lie, and then you realize it's a lie. But like I said, you aren't waiting till you're expecting a pension. No, these guys are finding out early, and they're like, you know what, Mephistoe? Today's the day. Think about it. You heard these stories. These people, like, they're always bubbling, right? It's bubbling. It's brewing, and they're never. And this is one thing I remember about especially the first time I saw the movie. Every time you notice he commits an act of violence, he has like this cathartic sigh, like satisfaction. Yeah, it's always been there. It's always been there when he confronts the Nazi dude, when he confronts the douchebag whammy burger manager. Like, you can start to see it escalate and escalate and escalate. The fact that it's something that Carlin said a long time ago, but he said it, I think the special that he said it on was after this movie. He said that I just lost it.
Well, as you think of it,
no. Okay. They sold us the American dream because you have to be asleep to believe it.
Leave it. Yeah. And that also, what's really, your point there was very apt, Drex, because the reason why I think especially the youth is boiling over, as it were, just sooner and sooner, is just because of the mass influx of information that's readily available. Where
Agreed.
they already know that the American dream is a lie. It's all just, again, a false bill of goods. So what's my point? Why am I continuing?
Imagine the Ponzi scheme, right?
Yeah.
What is the ultimate Ponzi scheme? It's Social Security, right?
Yeah.
So I want you to imagine this. grow up as a kid right now, and someone says, "Hey, Mephisto, so you're an average American kid, and you're supposed to buy into this lie, right?" And then your basic economics tells you, "Wait a minute. If there's this many old people and this many young people, and you expect me to pay for them, how much is the cost of a house now? Oh, $500,000. You guys heard about in Canada? Only I think it's 10% of the people in Canada can afford a house. You guys hear about that?
Yeah,
10%.
Listen, do you know how many? Do you know how they check the how viable a house is in the world is by paychecks. So in the United States, I think it was 89 paychecks to pay for a house. In my country, it's about 200. So the pricing here for houses is insane because small country, very low room. It's like there's no room. So
Correct.
Pricing goes up. In America, there's loads of room, but everybody congeals and conglomerates into these big cities. New York, LA, Detroit, Chicago, whatever, Orlando. It's like take your pick, big cities. And nobody goes far because the jobs aren't there. Right? The jobs you're supposed to have, right? The jobs you're supposed to have. And now you realize, we need plumbers, we need welders, we need stuff that robots don't do. We need skilled labor, and nobody wants to do it anymore. So the market is not there, and suddenly there's money in there. So you can do that job. You can do that job anywhere, especially in big cities. But you don't have to live in the big cities.
But that's the funniest thing. It's the fact that just as my own personal bet, for me, I do pretty well for myself. But my eldest nephew right now just got through his plumbing apprenticeship. He's making almost $200,000 a year.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because supply and demand, right? Yeah. You have all this demand, and then someone goes, "Where's all the damn plumbers? Why do I got to wait a month?" Because there's no one there.
Well, because again, he didn't want to go to college.
Yep.
And he was always like, if he wanted to go to trade school, and it's like,
college is done, man.
Hey,
I'm going to take it back. I'm going to take it back just because of the college thing, and I'm going to flip this on, not related to what I'm going to say. You said about the youth having sort of no choice and lashing out. So what we see now, especially us that are more attuned to what's happening on YouTube, and we see all the different kinds, there's not a blue pill, red pill moment, but I would say the people who are going to the more extremes on one way and then going to the other extremes the other way because there's no choice. The guys that have, let's call them the red pill dudes that are going, I'm not going to go to college because all the woke stuff is there, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to go and do the trade school. And the guys are, and the other extreme is, I'm going to go to college and get these great degrees in, I don't know, social studies or something, because that's what I'm supposed to do. And they go farther and farther away. And both sides of the aisle get their dreams a little bit shattered on how the world actually works. And they learn this at a very, very young age. The one side, how much we're getting taxed. The other side is like, we don't find any jobs, but I have like 6 degrees in social studies and in psychology. And all that stuff. How come I can't get a job?
I also come out of college with $300,000 in debt that I can never pay off because I cannot get a functional job. That's why even when I was at university, like I think this is just unilaterally true across the world. You meet someone who's like, "Oh yes, I'm studying history. Do you plan on becoming a professor or maybe a teacher
or a historian?"
But then why are you here?
Well, this is what I'm interested in right now.
Well, I'm sorry. You can go ahead and buy books and read it.
You can watch plenty of YouTube channels about history. You can go into specialization in YouTube on history at a specific time, at a specific date. Look at what Shadiversary is in the YouTube sphere where I look. He's doing swords of all different kind of ages. His It's his historical
yeah.
speciality. He's just doing swords and medieval weapons.
Well, the same
It's
thing with
his
that.
thing.
There's also like the Metatron, just as a side,
Yes.
as an aside, another
That's
person
the
who does.
Yeah, that's the other sphere of it. But yeah, they just do weapons and medieval shit, and they teach you about history along the way. So that's just one aspect. When you go into actual job, there are things out there that are waiting for you to just pick up and learn and make a whole bunch of money. But people are so. How is this Zoomer kind of generation that know about YouTube and have learned lots about YouTube don't know about this shit? It's mind-boggling.
I think it is, though, in all honesty. I think it's more of the narcissistic thing about like the prestige. Like, to my feelings point. Okay, so watch this. You said your eldest nephew, right? When he goes out to be a plumber and he's going to be pulling in nearly 200 grand, right? And I'm happy for the guy. I'm proud of him, right? But this is what's going to end up happening. When someone asks what he does and he says a plumber, this is how people respond. Like, ew. You see what I'm saying? It's not considered prestigious. Even though he makes more money than most of the prestigious jobs, people look down on that in terms of socially. So like, I made this comment once. I said, men and women think differently in regards to like, we look at things from a fundamentally, and you see this even in the movie, fundamentally like what he says, economically viable, right? It's about X's and O's. It's about the hard line, right? That bottom line. But what happens in society is they go like this. You're not needed or you're not wanted or desired, or we'll use you as utility because you're not like a certain status, right? Yep. So when your nephew goes on the dating market, bro, girls are gonna be like repulsed that he's a plumber, even though he makes great money. You see what I'm saying? Whereas back in the day, they were like, my man makes great money.
And Drex, he might be 6 foot, six figures, and 6 inches as well.
Have a glamorous job.
Well, yeah. Well, that also it reminds me of the old Dave Chappelle sketch. When he drove up in the garbage truck.
Mm-hmm.
Bye, bitch.
Yeah.
And garbage men make really good money.
Yeah,
and they don't have that college debt.
That's insane.
These little barista chicks and dudes, right? Little soy boys who have like you said, 2-3 degrees with 300 grand in debt because they majored in fucking theater, art expression and stuff. You're like, what? These people look down on you as a plumber. So they work at Starbucks. You make 200 grand. They look down on you.
Yeah.
So that's Drex. That's hilarious that you mentioned just again the Starbucks thing, because this was a joke back when I was in my undergrad at university.
Yeah, of course.
Because like whenever I met a fine arts major, be like, oh, so you're going for your Starbucks degree?
Yep. It is a joke. And think about it though. When you see defense go through LA, notice he gets closer to real. Like that's the reason why I love that moment that he has with Bondi Curtis Hall, because they both kind of like you said. They're literal carbon copies of each other.
Oh yeah, they are. They're even like down to the same outfit and everything. And he even reiterates the sentiment because I'm his entire. Sorry, I've lost my train of thought there for a second.
I'm trying to look,
but I don't know why someone
viable man,
right? What is the issue with like people are saying racist, but it's like okay, hold on.
Well, because they had the whole bit with obviously with Mr. Lee, who obviously was actually played by someone who was actually Chinese, who was actually played by the actor was the father of one of the Goonies.
Yeah, he was Data's dad in the Goonies.
Oh, really?
It's the same actor. Yeah.
Oh.
The Korean shop guy.
Okay.
Yeah. But he's Chinese, but what's so interesting is the fact that the quote unquote Japanese detective that brings in Mr. Lee says, I don't understand that because I don't speak Korean. That actor is actually Korean.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Okay. Let's say this though. There's a movie that came out in the same year that pokes fun at mixing around people's ethnicities, right? And that movie in 1993 was Carlito's Way, where Al Pacino is an Italian, but he's playing a Latino, right? And do you remember when he sits at the table with the wise guys? Remember, look, doesn't he look Italian? And they start laughing, right? It's an in joke. People are, dude, people were like, this is for all those people who don't know.
Wait, Drex, do you know why it's an in-joke in Carlito's Way? Because Al Pacino did Scarface, where he's an Italian playing a Latino.
He's playing he's playing a Latino. Okay, we saw that and we laughed at it back then. You see what I'm saying? Because we understood. Like, yeah, he's an Italian playing a Cuban in Scarface. Then the next time he's with Brian De Palma, he is now an Italian playing. I think he's supposed to be Puerto Rican.
Yeah, something like that.
Puerto Rican. And yet, when the mobsters say does he look Italian? For someone to not get that, it's like, oh, Jesus Christ. Because people have no sense of humor. Look, I always viewed Falling Down as like a dark satire, personally. It's always been dark satire to me. Because it is. It's like a fever dream. It's basically, he represents the everyman's going postal fetish, right? Their fantasy.
Yeah.
Like, he's tired of all this stuff because he was sold a bill of goods. That was a lie. And you showed it earlier. When he first meets that Mexican gang, this is why I love that scene. What was his goal in that interaction? He just wanted to leave, right? He just wanted to get out of that situation. Like, look, dude, I just happened to be walking through here. And remember that was they talk about turf. He's like, what turf? What turf?
Yeah, what am I supposed to like? Don't you see the sign? I see no sign here.
I see no sign, bro.
Did you actually write that out there? Like, well, yeah, maybe if you wrote it in fucking English.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like that's not racist. That's what because the thing, if you aren't in gang culture, you wouldn't understand gang signs. You see what I'm saying?
Of course.
So if you like walk through an area and someone's like, yo, you didn't understand where you're at, you're like, oh, where am I? There's nothing that tells me I'm in danger. It's like, yo, this is what that means. Like, well, how would I know that, right? How was I supposed to know that?
But the thing is, he is so full of rage.
Yep.
His rage overpowers let's say, the old guard's rage overpowers the youthful kind of, bravado or whatever you want to call it. Yeah. And when they don't succeed, he's like, you wanted the briefcase? Here, come get the fucking briefcase, right? Like, they get taunted, and when they come back, the scene where they do the drive-by is the craziest scene ever because he does not even flinch.
Yep.
He's on the phone again, talking to his ex-wife, saying, "I'm coming, bitch." I mean, he doesn't say "I'm coming, bitch," but it's like, "I'm coming. I'm on the way to like be with the girl," and they're doing the drive-by and crashing the car because they're a bunch of fuckheads.
Yep.
And when he slowly goes to the car because everybody just scattered, right? Yeah. He is unfucking phased. Unfazed. And when he picks up the gun, it's not a TAC-10, it's an actual Uzi. Same difference. But
the other guy did have it. To be fair, the other guy did have a Tech-9.
Yeah, I know. Whatever. This one is the Uzi. And he just shoots him in the leg once. He just has that. It's sort of, I always equated it to sort of how serial killers sometimes train on like small animals and all that stuff. Yep. That's his foray into murder. This leads him into the Nazi guy in the shop.
Correct. He's getting closer. Like throughout this movie, he's getting closer and closer. And like, and this is something that never, I don't know if it really gets talked about in general society. Once someone crosses over, they never come back.
No, it's the old adage of peering into the abyss. Like the abyss looks back at you, and you're lost. And that's what happens to him, especially after the death after he kills Nick. That's just it's done.
It's over.
There's no going
because at that point, here's the thing. You always hear this, like soldiers talk about it. I remember in the movie Alexander, when King Philip is telling Alexander, he said, like, he talked about how he hated his dad because the situations he put him in, and he goes, "When I killed my first man," he said, "Now you know." You see what I'm saying? Yeah. And the idea that like no matter how hard it is, that's why people start throwing up and stuff because they feel rotten about it. And then what do all the old heads say? Look, it gets easier, right? You start talking to a war veteran who has multiple bodies on him, right? They aren't as affected by by body,
Foobar rage,
right? But they aren't affected. By the time you get to like body number 8, go look at the person who hits body 8 versus body number 1. They're two different people.
You get over again that post traumatic stress, and just now just becomes like, this is who you are. You are
when he makes the outfit change, right? Like, this is who I am now. Like,
I wanted to touch upon this because you talked about the point of no return, at least when it comes to that briefcase, when he gives up the briefcase. The whole talk with the homeless guy is he mentions being a veteran of the Gulf War. It's very of the time. Remember, 1991, 92, it's right after the first Gulf War. A lot of veterans came back and had the same kind of process that Defense or Bill Foster had, where they fought for their country for war that they've won, right? So they're coming back as winners, and suddenly there's a whole society that shuns them, right? That kind of kicks them out. And I remember listening to, because the war was right here outside my door, basically, hearing that they're coming back and they're being mistreated. It's like, why? It's like, these guys are heroes. They saved a whole country called Kuwait. They liberated it for some reason. We all know it's for fucking oil, but they're coming back. It's like, they're being treated just like Bill Foster, like they're a pariah or something. And that kind of represents this homeless guy, where he's supposed to be a veteran, but he's not really a veteran. We all know he's just a moocher on society.
Well, and I do love, just as an aside, the actor and Ebe's the screenplay with this. And again, Drex, we live in the States. You've been in a major city. You've had somebody come up to you and go like, "Oh, well, yeah, my car just ran out of gas. And if you can just give me like $20-$30 and give me your address, I swear
I've heard sense.
I'll mail you right back."
Have you ever got hit with sense where they
No, I've never got hurt with sense before.
Dude, I've gotten, this is noble, dude. I've been in places where I got hit with cents, not even dollar amounts, like actual, like, I need 80 cents. I'm just looking at them like, are you serious? No.
I got hit with, I need $1, the equivalent amount of $1, because I need to take a bus home. It's like, where do you live? I live in the next town over. Dude, motherfucker, I use buses. It's way more than what you need. It's like, yeah, but it's not, I don't want the full amount from you. I'm gonna get it from somebody else. Like, dude, you're gonna either drink or snort it out. Just
it's for dope. It's always for dope.
Well, at that point in time, though, Drex, to be honest, if somebody's asking me for cents, if I have pocket change, I'm gonna be like, "This is a new one here." If you're asking me for cents, man, you have downplayed your own game here.
Right?
You've gone to the crack whore phase of your life. All right, so we've passed through all the Pendergrast stuff, because
the only thing that's really important,
to be perfectly honest, the chase, the Robert Duvall chase, the Pendergrast chase, as it escalates more and more and more, and it gathers more information about Defense, is really a side story in this whole story arc. I much rather talk about Defense or Bill Foster's full arc, except for when they go to his mother.
The only thing that's great about that is the story of his wife, and how she's basically just went crazy after their daughter died. And then he got wounded on duty. And then also the basic red herring that he's going to end up getting shot and dying, because they keep mentioning constantly, like, it's your last day. People, cops die all the time. Look what happened. Especially
you know what? It kind of reminded me of Murtaugh.
So much.
It kind of reminded me of Murtaugh. So. And when I went back and we didn't mention it earlier, but and I saw the casting list for Pendergrast, all of them, including Duvall, would have been great, because it's Gene Hackman, Sidney Poitier. I need to look at the list again. I have to look at the list. Me and names, it's insane. Paul Newman, Jack Lemmon, Walter Matthau. All of them audition, and Duvall won out as what they said about it. They felt his compassion. They felt his he could identify more with Bill Foster than anyone else that did that were there.
Well,
all of them
especially
went
just-
with the more gruff kind of Murtaugh
Yep.
version of it, rather
Yeah.
than being a more
where he's like
compassionate cop.
he's over it. Yeah. What's great too is also Duvall's just the way that he praised Prendergast, especially at the very end. We'll talk about that real quick, and then go back. When he breaks, when he's talking about his own daughter to Beth, Adele, and Defense at the very end when they're on the pier, when he breaks, talking about his own daughter's death, about the sudden infant syndrome, and it's like, whoo, wow, Duvall, just masterful work.
Yeah. Right. Whammy burger. Lay it on me, all my feelings. I know.
I was
going
gonna
to
say,
notes.
Oh, the most
one-
infamous scene in the movie.
Yeah. One thing real quick before that.
Okay.
Again, when he gives away the briefcase, when it's opened up, he just has he has half a sandwich, an apple, and a banana in there. So
Yes.
again, you know that, well, where the fuck has this guy been going these past couple months?
It just enhances the other scene with his mother. It's like, wait,
Yeah.
we know
That's-
that he
well,
didn't
yeah,
have
that's-
anything in the briefcase.
Yeah, and that also plays off of when he's actually sitting on the Gangbangers Hill, when he is looking through that hole in his shoe again. If you look down, he has classified ads where he has ads circled.
Yeah.
So like it's already setting up something that it's telling a smart audience something that's revealed later, but if you pay attention, it's already been told to you.
It's again showing you, not telling you.
Yes.
And it just pulls you in. And I love that, because that makes this movie a rewatchable experience.
Agreed,
where
agreed.
you know what's what's going to happen, but you want to check all the different angles because it's interesting. It was put there for you to be interested in it if you're into what was told in that specific story. Right. Whammy burger.
Look
Lay it
how
on me.
thin that burger is.
Yeah.
That burger is so
So-
limp.
What's fantastic about the Whammy Burger, that actual location that they shot on, they actually retrofitted a true restaurant in order
Yeah.
to make it.
It's called Angelo's Burgers.
Burgers, yes. And the breakfast bit was actually inspired a scene from, oddly enough, an Adam Sandler film,
Oh.
Really?
Big Daddy, where he pulls a falling
Big
down.
Daddy was after
Yeah,
this.
I thought it was after.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Oh,
because Big
the
Daddy
scene?
does it. And is it?
Oh, Big
There's
Daddy
an
does a
homage.
homage. Okay.
Yeah. So when he goes there and tries to get the breakfast menu, and they said, "Oh no, we stopped serving breakfast." When he goes on that tirade, that actually convinced several major American food chains to start making breakfast available all day.
Oh,
That's-
wow, really?
True.
Yes. The first one that to fall was McDonald's. That
Yep.
they've extended the McMuffin, I think.
Mhm.
Extended it to all day. And by the way, they made billions.
They made so much money
They
by
made
extending their breakfast
so much
menu.
money
Yeah.
by extending it.
It's so
It's
stupid.
insane.
Yes.
But
The actor-
the casting there was great. The manager had such a douchebaggy face.
Yes.
Yeah.
The actor who actually played Rick, he's actually he's a very famous just comedy bit actor. He's been
Okay.
in so many things. If you watch too many comedies over like the mid 90s all the way to now, you'll recognize him.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
The big recognition is the gap in his teeth.
Yep.
But he was actually so frightened of Michael Douglas because Michael Douglas wouldn't drop character.
Yeah. Yeah, I have that too. It's like,
Yeah.
And the funny part is the girl who's serving,
Dee Dee,
if you remember,
yeah.
she
did
was
well, right?
smirking the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Michael Douglas was so in character, it made her laugh.
Her laugh, That's why they had to kept doing like if you notice where you'll see her kind of smirk a little bit, then it smash cuts away. She was visibly like shaking. She was laughing.
Yeah. Hey, Drex, do you know who this actress is?
Because that's Tuesday, right?
I don't know, but she's Michelle Pfeiffer's sister.
Yeah.
Tuesday Weld, right?
It's Dee Dee Pfeiffer.
Dee Dee Pfeiffer. Dee Dee. Oh.
Yeah.
Let me look at that face. Hold on.
She was in, I think she was in Buffy or one of those shows as well.
Oh,
Never
there
mind.
it is. Yeah, Dee Dee Pfeiffer. Huh.
Yeah. I think she's done like comedy stuff as well.
Yeah, she has. Yeah.
Okay.
But
so anything else, because this whole scene is fucking crazy.
What's great about this is that you have to note the mention of the fact that Foster mentioned the fact that he had been working for his boss for 7 years.
Oh,
because this is a very important thing that comes up later when we see the not economically viable man's and we hear his rant.
Yep. I like the fact that the craziest thing here is when he, like, even in the Korean shop, he pays for what he took. He doesn't.
Yes.
He trashed the place. He doesn't pay for trashing the place, but he pays for what he took. And here also, he's like, no, I'm not robbing this place. You can sit down and eat. The fact is, don't leave.
The thing is, you don't see him actually pay for it. It's in a conversation later with the other female detective, Sandra, and her partner, the douchey cop.
Yeah, and
there's who goes into a place, holds it up, and then pays for breakfast.
Yeah, that's the whole point. I think the girl mentions it. I don't remember. Anyway, he pays for that shitty fucking breakfast as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
As he was complaining on it,
again, the concept of disillusionment to Drexel, you approached earlier when they mentioned again the whole concept of the burger being brought up, and the one thing too is, as to your point, Drex, that you brought it too, is like I never really saw the whole racist angle, because if you notice, who are the most oddly enough the ones who actually end up kind of helping Foster or trying to help or interact with him?
It's the white dude.
Yeah. The young
kid.
Can anyone tell me what's wrong with this? And it's the young little black boy raising his hand. Like, I can tell you what's wrong with this. The same thing with obviously, oddly enough, with the rocket launcher later, which
the little black kid tells him like, oh no, this is what you got to do, and he has to now he's like, take off.
I saw that in a movie. Do you know what movie they're referring to, by the way, Meph?
I think it was Rambo, right?
No, it was Beverly Hills Cop 2. Yes, okay. And you know why? Because first of all, it's not even Foley that fires the bazooka. It's Mike Judge, or not Mike Judge. Judd Reynolds. Judd Reynolds.
Yep.
He doesn't know how to fire it because he's a Beverly Hills cop, right? He reads the description on the thing, how to open it. This, how you open it. You extend, you click on this, you fire here, and he accidentally fires it. That's how the kid knows how to fire a bazooka. By the way, I've fired one of those in real life. They make almost no noise and very small explosion. They're very, let's say, you're hyped for it, because I was hyped for it. The missile is like yay big.
Oh, really?
And the explosion is not that great. It's just needs to penetrate like Jeeps.
Insert joke about meth sex life here.
Yeah, wow. That's not what I mean.
It's if let's say you've seen Rambo numerous times.
Yep.
The one where he shoots a big fucking RPG into the boat.
Mm-hmm.
That's for real.
Okay, so but the actual bazooka doesn't do it. It's the real RPG. Okay.
Yeah. I think it's called a Tau.
Yeah,
I don't
that's
remember
that's
what
very
it's called,
disappointing.
Tau
man.
or
I had
whatever.
dreams.
It looks cool because it extends and it
Yep.
fires. No, it never does that explosion. It's literally just to penetrate a small no shielding kind of vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was very disappointing. Let's just say that.
Yeah, but again, to that point about the people that are actually assisting him and the people that also that he has umbrage with, especially with Nick. Like, if he was supposed to be this interpretation of the racist old guard, wouldn't he just follow in goose step with Nick and be like, "Yeah, I'm gonna take your RPG and we're gonna follow it on this mission," and
Yep.
Yeah.
He doesn't.
Allow. Thank you, Paul. Thank you. I know.
Law,
I
yeah.
knew Paul would save me. Allow,
Yeah.
not a towel. Sorry.
But the other thing I found very interesting too is Dee Dee Pfeiffer during that scene said that she was very nervous to work with Michael Douglas, and that's why she kind of giggled and laughed a lot.
Yeah, that's
Because
what I said.
she also had a major crush on him, which
see
you
that.
can tell clearly by
Yeah.
Sheila's interaction with him.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think that makes the scene really work because it's not what you would expect, right? You expect everyone to just be terrified, but she's enamored with him.
Well, and also too in so many ways because she kind of sees him as he's standing up for her because he's telling like Rick, you get the food.
Yep.
Yep. All right. Moving quite past a few scenes into another scene. Again, pivotal moments in the movie. It's the shop, the Nazi shop.
Yeah.
Now it starts off.
Just going to say real quick before that, we have the scene with the not economically viable man.
Yes.
The reason why 7 years was important is because he mentions the fact that he had been a customer at that bank for 7 years.
Yeah.
The same amount of time that Foster had worked for his previous employer.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
so their comparison where they are literally just a skin tone palette swap. That's it. They're basically kind of the same person going through that.
The hairstyle's the same.
But the not economically viable guy acknowledges Bill Foster.
Well, and Foster even says like, "Don't forget me."
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Exactly. It's kind of sort of foreboding, but the scene is it sort of seems out of place because you got some sort of a progression and suddenly you've got this scene, but it's very, very important to understand Bill Foster as a character. Why he's so disillusioned. It's just the continuation of the dream and the shattered pieces of it, I would say.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And right before we go into the surplus scene, the next phone booth scene right before then, there is just a funny side bit that's there.
Okay.
If you pay attention to the scene. As he walks out, you'll see that behind him is a giant inflatable ass.
Oh, really?
It was part of the marketing campaign for Sir Mix-a-Lot's Baby
It
Got
says so on the ass.
Yeah.
It's the I love big butts and I cannot lie tour that they promoted.
Wow. No. How do I not remember that part?
This is a blast from the past. I was not even aware of this. And All My Feelings has notes that I started to find sources for, and this made me laugh. I didn't even write it down because I knew you would bring this up.
It's so fucking funny. This is like,
because they were having that location specifically. If you notice, if you take off the big butt, is Pollo Loco on one end and Subway on the other end. So it's a very specific location that they chose. And
and also
if
you notice too, it's showing the different sides of the same city that he's been going through this whole stretch.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
Yeah.
And of course he shoots the fucking thing with a TAC 10. Oh, the Mac 10, not a TAC 10. It's a TAC 9. See? I know,
Yeah,
I know
Tech
my, I
Nines,
know my
Mac
gear.
10s,
I know my
Mac
gear.
11s.
So the one thing with the shop owner, he's got some gays shopping in his store, and he unceremoniously gets rid of them, as we say.
He drops that
'Cause
other F-bomb.
he drops that
a
F-bomb
lot.
because whatever. And the problem is the guys there wanted to stand up. You know, one of them wanted to, let him have it. And the other was like, it's not even worth it. And they just leave. And of course, he ceremoniously gets rid of that cop because he realizes that Bill Foster or Defense
Is the guy going on the rampage.
He figures it out because he's listening to the CB radio or the police monitor or whatever he is. He is your typical anti-establishment kind of guy on one end, but then it goes all the way around to being a full-on fucking Nazi.
Yep.
Which I find very interesting because had Foster basically bought into whatever Nick was essentially selling him, this mentality, then perhaps I could get the very racist rhetoric that is the diatribes that are against this film for being essentially racist, which I still don't get, or being homophobic even, because there was one that was like, oh no, this film's homophobic. I'm like, no, you can have somebody call someone the F word in a bad way if they are the villain and they get their comeuppance, which Nick does.
You know what I love about this character, though? There's something that I don't think a lot of people recognize, which is Nick makes an assumption, a horrible assumption. Because, see, they always talk about how, like I said, I guess people were saying this film is racist. Okay, what Nick believes is basically Nick is kind of like, okay, so he rejects the establishment, right? And this is what's crazy. He views Foster as like basically saying like, you're one of us. Because you're
doing what I want to do.
What I want to do.
You're one of
You're one of us. And then when he quickly realizes, and that's the reason why I think it's such a great contrast with showing Foster with not economically viable. Because it's like, no, bro, I may not be part, like I was rejected by the establishment, but I'm not one of you. Just because like, and you see this like as a black guy, you'll see this a lot. You like people think that just because you're black, that means you're woke. You see what I'm saying? Like, oh, you must be like a woke Democrat. No, I'm not. And then so when it happens, people go like this, and you see this like someone like Matt Walsh. They believe, well, if you're not a Democrat, then that means you have to be a Republican. No, I'm not. And it's kind of like, wait, well, what are you? You see what I'm saying? This is how people like this Nick character, this is how the neo-Nazi types get exposed. It's like just because somebody is not, it's not flamboyant gay.
I'm going to correct you, and you can continue. It's not just neo-Nazis. It's also the other side.
The other side.
The neo-socialists.
The neo-socialists. But they're the same thing. They go like
same
this.
thing.
They look at people through, because here's the thing. Both sides are playing identity politics, and nobody ever says that. Nick, the neo-Nazi, is playing identity politics because he's like this. If you are straight white male, that means you're in this box. So then, ironically, I'm sure that there's somebody in his crew that's gay, secretly gay. You see what I'm saying?
Are you sure that Nick isn't? Nick
might
beheaded, like his beheaded that. Yeah, like I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
You know, though, I'm gonna be honest with you. I think that would have been a great reveal. Like as he's leaving to see like Playgirl, right? Like what the hell? Like because
that also with the way that he has Defense set up to be cuffed, and how he's talking about, there's just a big black guy gonna fuck you in the ass. That's what you like, you F word. It's like, yes, I think you're secretly into this.
He's projecting. Yeah, well, do you know where you actually saw this at? Do you guys remember in American Beauty? That was one of the big reveals, right?
American Beauty.
Yes.
And the other thing I was thinking
about
too.
This.
The other thing I was thinking too is this is almost in a way parodied in a film that came out shortly after this.
Mm-hmm.
In Kill Bill. Sorry, not Kill Bill. Pulp Fiction.
Pulp Fiction.
Pulp Fiction. In the Gimp scene.
Yep.
Yes, because the
Because if you think of the cop and the pawn shop owner, you don't think of them in that kind of, especially in the really negative light. But you wouldn't consider that, especially in the early 90s, that kind of way. So
yeah, because it's just giving you a mirror of society. It's putting a mirror and showing you how society really is, even if you didn't know. This is the way they used to write. They took from what they knew, what was going on underneath the surface that was not on CBS or NBC or ABC, and put it on screen and showed it to you. And if it was good, it was popular and people went to see it again and again, or they just rented the videos like crazy.
And also, just as an aside real quick, to Drex's point, for both sides of the spectrum, they both just view the world again in their own myopic lenses, where they project their own beliefs upon what they perceive someone should be.
Yeah, like you're saying, both sides want, because what people understand, like the political trichotomy, right? Both sides want authoritarian rule, right? So if you ask someone on the right, they're going to say, these are my views, so anything that's not my views needs to be canceled. A lot of people don't remember, but authoritarian right existed when we were coming up, right? They want to cancel everything. They were like this. Oh, my feelings. You like Magic the Gathering? No, that's satanic. Oh, you like Pokemon? That's satanic. No Harry Potter. We're going to ban this. We don't want music. Look, nothing is more hypocritical than Walmart. Walmart says no explicit lyrics in music, right? That was banned. However, in the same Walmart, rated R movies, you could buy Demi Moore striptease. That was the unrated version. You can buy the guns that you use to delete people. That's all okay, right? But no naughty words on CDs. What?
Oh, what's
and you know who broke the mold? Fucking Eminem.
Yeah,
fucking Eminem.
Well, no, what's interesting too is just on that point too. They were actually selling. They would actually sell Mortal Kombat in the Walmarts when they were having the big outrage after music. They were still selling like Mortal
violent
Kombat
video
Genesis
games,
and
violent
Nintendo.
movies, and actual weapons that are used to delete other people. And that's why the Nick character he's projecting. I guarantee you, if anything, if there's one thing I could have changed about this movie, I would have like put that in there, like something like a little subtle, that Nick is in the closet.
Oh yeah,
it makes sense. He's like you said. So Mephisto's saying it. The way he talks about it, and he's like leaning into him and stuff. Bro, this dude, I think he wants to clap. He wants to do some Fleece Johnson activities.
I showed it on screen. When he grabs him from behind with the gun, it's literally The Last of Us Part 2.
Well, no, he's saying that he goes, no, spread your legs wider.
Yeah, spread your legs. Yeah, it's very okay. That scene, even when I was a kid, it's homoerotic.
It's very
homoerotic
subtext. Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
Where people get these criticisms from the racism, like what, dude? Sometimes I'm gonna be honest with you. I've seen so many movies in my lifetime, and sometimes when I find out there's certain criticism, I'm like, what movie do these people watch?
Yeah.
I'm like, do they watch the same movie? Like, do they get like a secret hidden director's cut? Like, what? I don't know, man.
All right, let's just pause this here because we've got a few more scenes that I want to cover. We'll do our second game of the night, and I need to pull it up because whatever. Second game of the night. It is called Screen Fighter.
Round 1, fight.
Screen Fighter is where we take two movies, pit them together, and see which one is the best one. If there's no discernible difference between the two, both of them are good, both of them are bad, we fall into our criteria, which is Saturday evening, Friday evening, out with the girls, out with the boys, out with your significant other. Two movies in a vacuum. Which one will we pop in? Guys, you've got this.
Oh, that's easy.
The Net with Sandra Bullock, the movie that has been lost to time or When Harry Met Sally.
There's no question. When Harry Met Sally.
All right. Feelings?
Agree. It's probably the best romantic comedy ever written.
Yep.
I completely agree. But, guys, if you have not seen The Net, please grab a copy.
Oh, it's fun. It's dumb, but it's fun.
and watch it not for the movie itself, but what the messaging is in that movie. Whatever the messaging in that movie was in 1995, it is very much 2023.
Let me ask you this, though. I'll tell you what my number one problem was with the net when it came out. Let me ask you an honest question. Did you believe Sandra Bullock was the character?
No.
She wasn't believable at all to me.
No.
Keanu Reeves was more believable as a pneumonic carrier
it was a complete miscast. They should have gone with a much less prettier girl. You should have gone with a much more of a homely kind of girl, like the next door.
I wouldn't even go homely. I would say someone who was actually just a little bit older. I would like Susan Sarandon in that role. I think she would have nailed it.
That's a different kind of twist, but in 1995 it was a little bit unbelievable. If it was 2000, maybe you could have done with Susan Sarandon, but another time, another day. All right. Let the Right One In, or The Truman Show. Talking about.
Now, have you seen Let the Right One In, Meth?
No, but you guys can argue about it if you've seen it. If not,
Drex, have you seen it?
This was remade. The Let the Right One In was remade.
So this is actually the original.
This is the original. Okay. Didn't see the original.
Okay, I'll just switch it over. No,
it is. It's by far one of the best modern adaptations of the vampire mythos. And of course, again, guess what? Guess what it was? It was an independent film.
Of course. Now this is a treat because Evan Almighty is Steve Carell's attempt to Bruce Almighty, which was done by Jim Carrey, who's on The Truman Show.
Which, oddly enough, the best part of Bruce Almighty is Steve Carell doing the ad-lib stuff when Bruce is taking over his body.
Well, yeah, I guess. I love Bruce Almighty. Any arguments here? It's The Truman Show, right?
Truman Show, yeah.
Super Mario Brothers or The Negotiator?
That's actually tougher than people think.
It's tough.
Because I'll tell you why. Super Mario Brothers is a god-awful movie, right? However, in terms of pure entertainment value of watching a train wreck, and especially the behind the scenes.
Drex.
The behind the scenes is epic for Super Mario Brothers.
They were fucking drunk all the time. They were working basically a giant fucking sweat box sauna.
Yeah. There's so much. You had a first-time husband and wife duet director team. Script rewrites on the spot, so you know your lines, right? Hey, literally right before you're about to go perform, new script. What? So from an entertainment value of like knowing the behind the scenes, it's Mario Brothers, but The Negotiator is clearly the better movie.
All right, what's your pick then? Saturday evening, you got two choices. Which one will you pick? Tough choice. I'm going to go with The Negotiator. I hated Super Mario Brothers when I picked it up as a kid. I really wanted it to be so good. And you know what? When I was a kid, I was really disappointed that Koopa was Dennis Hopper.
Yep.
I was like, can't you make a fucking alligator fucking puppet?
No, as an adult, though, you're like, holy shit, of course it has to be Dennis Hopper.
Dennis Hopper is the best part of this fucking movie. I'm going to go with The Negotiator. It's one of those movies where it's not that great, but I absolutely love it.
Yep, I can see that. That kind of proves our point, right? Entertainment value is a separate entity than like quality. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. Paul Harley said it's so bad it's good. Right,
it's so bad.
It's an awesomely bad movie.
Back right around to being.
It's
like
I said, this one's hard on the surface. This is easy, right? Like Negotiator is a better movie in every way, but it's like there's something about watching a train wreck. There's something about it. You're like, this is fascinating.
I was gonna say, what's so funny, great about that is that actually has a tie into a film that we watched a couple of weeks ago, Meth, which is Pump Up the Volume, because Samantha Mathis had ended things with Christian Slater and got with John Leguizamo as she was princess.
Oh, what a mistake. All right, last pairing, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, or 1 Hour Photo.
Well, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon is the better movie. I saw that in theaters with Nick. And okay, but once again, here's the problem with something like this. The reason you watch Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, which is a fundamentally better movie, is different from saying it's a rainy day on a Saturday. I would rather watch 1 hour photo. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's a concise movie. It's like let me watch a quick little,
I think we lost Drex there.
Yeah, Drex is lost. I thought for a minute it was me. Okay.
that has a different vibe than this. The hell?
Yeah, you were.
What was it? Was my thing?
Yeah, you blipped out.
I think we got you back.
We got you back.
Yeah, that was
Got you
weird.
back.
No, it's really tough because, like I said, they represent great in their own way. 1 hour photo is a great movie to just sit down. It's a quick 90 minutes. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
In and out. Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon is like I said, it deserves the awards because it's more of the sweeping epic. It's a very beautiful movie. So I gotta go Crouching Tiger because just cinematography alone, it's a gorgeous movie.
All right, feelings.
I'm gonna have to go with 1 hour photo. Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. The same thing with Hero. Watch it once, enjoy the spectacle of it. I'm done. I've seen enough Hong Kong epics where they do the wire act, where they just the flying bit. Which again, to be fair, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon is the one who basically perfected it, who brought it to the Western audience. But would you see that trick done too many times? You're just like, pass.
I agree with that.
I'm gonna go with Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon because
now, had this been, one of the old classic Bruce Lee films, like Enter the Dragon.
No, but
Yeah,
I'm with
I'd
you.
watch
I'm with
that.
all my feelings though. You're right. Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, right?
We lost you again there, bud.
you know what? It's gonna be 1 hour photo.
I've never rewatched.
I don't know what's going on with you, man. But yeah. And by the way, it's definitely Turner and Hooch and not Mission Impossible 2.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
I don't know what.
I was gonna say all I know is Drex said I was right, so that's all.
Yeah,
that
when he
matters to
said you're right, I just picked 1 hour photo and be done with it.
Something weird. Look, I just ran a speed test. I'm at like 230 megabytes per second, and then
I was gonna say it's Restream, but it's all of these software. So StreamYards and Restream and all of them, they have these glitches sometimes where it's you
just odd hiccups.
Disconnect, reconnect.
Okay,
and
yeah.
suddenly everything's
Like,
fine.
everything is like working fine. All of a sudden,
Yeah,
it's just gone.
and suddenly it's just bleeps you out for no apparent reason.
No reason.
It happened
Yeah,
to
I'm
me.
like, what?
It happened to me starting a show once, and it was bad. All right, so I want to talk about this. We kind of mentioned this before, but this is after he's Bill Foster defense is on full attire, duffel bag, combat boots, all that stuff. And he wants to go through, but he can't because there's an overpass. And we're working here, so fuck off.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite scenes.
The confrontation with the construction worker where he basically he makes him admit the fact that
there's nothing wrong.
Our government is just doing this to just make sure that you have a job and trying to make sure that the budget remains the same so they get the same budget next year.
Which is ironic because he was fired. I think there's something about that it's like, so your job is secured because you work for quote unquote them. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The man, the government, or whatever.
The man is keeping you employed, even though you're not. And this is the irony. By definition, that means they're not economically viable. That's how I always took that scene. Because think about it. If you're working on something that doesn't need to be worked on, that means you don't need to be there, right?
Yep.
You're just doing it to meet the status quo. Because I know I've seen how these city budgets work, and they go like this: if you don't want a surplus, because if you get a surplus, they go, "Oh, well, you don't need that
we
money.
Can cut. Yeah, we can cut your budget."
So you have to literally start finding ways, like okay, so what we got to do, Meth, is we're gonna just go ahead and break up roads or do something stupid or redo a bridge for reasons, right? So that we can keep getting this money every year and it keeps flowing. Obviously, it's to launder money because that's really the actual.
I have a story. I have an actual story about this. So, I work at the university, and I am not on the budget, but I know what the budgets are. And one of the things is you get allocated a certain amount of budget for your operation, your day-to-day, whatever. If you don't use that budget next year, it's going to be cut down by the same amount you haven't used because apparently you don't need it. That's one example. The other example is something that is actually going on in my city, okay? We have a mayor that is suspected of corruption and all that stuff. But if you look around,
someone in political power.
No. This is the strangest thing in the world. In the past 5 years since he took office, new roads have been built, new infrastructure. A lot of the city has been wired with like fiber for internet and all that stuff. And the city has gone from, and also sewages in problematic spots. Everything was fixed. Everything was good, especially when it was down the Corona time. Everything was like, oh, nobody's in the street. Let's start digging up every fucking sewer stage.
Everything's greenlit.
Rewire stuff, reroute stuff. It's like, and everybody is now reaping the benefits. However, the man is accused of corruption because he just cut away all the bullshit, all the bureaucracy. And they said, well, if you can't cut away the bureaucracy, you must be doing corrupted things. So
it's projection.
It's
gotcha.
all
projection.
Yeah.
Yep. If you ever come in and start getting rid of stuff and making things run. So efficiency is the ultimate opponent of corruption.
Yeah.
Because when you're, think about it, it's hard to be corrupt when you're efficient. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that's what a bureaucracy is for, right? Let's keep things in litigation, stealing money. So when you don't do that, it's like this. No, we're gonna get this done and cut out the fat. We need that fat. That's our money.
Suddenly.
Well, that are also,
I don't have a job because
I need all of that red tape to keep my nephew's brother's
and
friend
that kind of goes to that
employed.
point, right?
Yeah.
The construction worker has a job because he's being taken care of with that excess money, the surplus. So once you get rid of that, this scene is so infamous.
Yeah.
Yes.
And look at his look.
Again, too. The
I love the
condemnation about like
excuse.
how this film is racist. This is in 1992 when it was being shot. L.A. Like this is like the height of the L.A. riots. Look, the multiracial friend group.
Yep. Right.
Yeah.
And you know, though, and this was crazy. This, for those people who don't know, because this is I've been talking about this more and more with a lot of people about. I'm actually tired now. I'm not tired of woke. Do you know what I'm actually tired of now? The people who think everything is woke, right? The anti-woke is the new annoying woke.
That's true.
Because so this is what someone would say by today's standards, right? They would go like this. See, this movie's woke. Look at all these kids. It's like, have you guys ever lived or been to LA? This is what you see. It's multinational. So therefore, it wouldn't be unusual for a black kid to hang out with a Latino and a 3 white kids with a girl in the group. That's not unusual in childhood.
Yeah. That the problem that goes away is the fact that the kids are outside. And today they're not outside. But typically speaking, you would see, this could be a Discord group. And you wouldn't even know it because everybody's behind some sort of avatar.
You're right. You're right. They're behind.
Exactly.
To be fair, this is probably 99% of Discord groups you are in.
Probably.
When you're typing, guess what? That's an Egyptian dude. That's a Filipina chick. That's a random black dude, a random white guy. Like you got a Scottish dude.
It could be even more diverse depending on where you're at. If it's gaming, then maybe not. But today, it's all over the world, right?
Just take this for example. Just look at this podcast itself. I'm a white guy. Neff, you're a Jewish man from Israel.
Yeah,
and Drexel, you're a black guy from the Midwest. So it's like,
and that's the thing. And this what's crazy. And what brings this whole thing together is our love of film. And is that any different than any Discord group that focuses on blank, right? Doesn't matter what it is, whatever it is.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's the same thing. It's like this, and this kind of goes to combat Nick the Nazi, because it's like he would believe that just if you're in this group, that means you have to be this. No.
Group,
Bro, like people come from, think about it. a game developer like Hideo Kojima is a huge fan of Western action movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Americans are huge fans of anime. It's like, bro, come on.
Tarantino is a huge fucking Akira Kurosawa.
A huge fan.
yeah.
So is George Lucas.
Yeah.
I mean, like this thing, these things exist, and people think they exist in a vacuum. Like, no, they're everywhere. They're available to everyone. And when you look at like music and stuff, right? You guys ever notice that when they talk to a musician and when they start talking about like their inspirations, like who inspired them?
Yeah, it's
all diverse.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, there's this and then there's that, and I try to infuse that, and someone's kind of like looking like, Look, Amy Winehouse was that way, right? She infused a whole lot of different genres. Yeah, and it's like, this is not difficult, man. Like, this is how people. This is why people have to get off the internet. The real world, you're inspired by so many different tastes.
Well, and to that point, Drexel, like I'm a giant fan of just metal, regardless of the genre. But if you listen to anyone's who is talking about their inspirations, where it's like, oh yeah, well I loved old bluegrass. Like, really?
Yeah, that's I was inspired by New Orleans jazz. It's like, really? Like, in metal? It's like, you don't hear the beat?
Actually, if you listen to the way that I play off of the tom on this certain track, it's actually reminiscent of this old classic jazz tune that was from like that Louis Armstrong made famous in 1937. And you're like, what? Huh?
They always play that part, and then you can kind of go, "Oh, now I hear it," right? Because once they point it out to you, you're like, "Oh,
yeah."
All right. Next scene does involve Pendergrass because it's sort of.
I was gonna say just one thing real quick about that last scene with the kids and Foster when it has the misfire and it blows up. The kid's reaction, of course, because he is actually under the impression that it's under a film set. He just goes,
yes.
Oh, that was cool, man.
Yep. Because that's what I wanted to point out, that why are those kids not afraid? Because an adult told them, well, don't worry, kids, this is a film set, or this is we're taping this. It's like, where's the cameras?
Yeah, right.
Like, don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah,
what was he called the film? Was it Under Construction or something?
Yeah, Under Construction.
And kids, and think about it. Like, it's funny you say that, because like anyone who's ever been around kids, they don't perceive danger the way an adult perceives danger.
Oh,
so,
no,
like, that's not unusual to like. It's like if a kid sees something that looks dangerous, they can identify like, a bazooka. That's that's a dangerous weapon, right? But if it is, like you said, as long as an adult says no, it's okay, and they're not aiming at the kids, they're like, oh, this is gonna be cool.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Fireworks, explosives.
Wouldn't the kid who's actually teaching him be like, wait, shouldn't you know how to use this?
Right. I love it, man.
That scene is so innocent and comedic at the same time.
Yep.
That it sort of doesn't really belong in this kind of dark, dingy, kind of dark satire, but it actually works.
Oh,
it really actually works.
In so many ways, that's kind of the palate cleanser after just the really dark and
he just
horrifying bit.
Yeah,
after the surplus store, like you kind of needed that little like palate cleanser a little bit. But with this scene we're moving with
when he talks to the mother, and everything kind of falls, because after this point you got all these little bits and pieces of information.
Yeah.
Through what Pendergrass kind of finds out. Remember where he goes to the shop, and then he goes up to that hill, and then he finds out, oh, this is where he ditches the car that I've seen earlier in this morning. Mm-hmm. And he goes and he raises up his fist. It's like, oh, defense.
Oh, down to Mr. Lee, defense, because he said, oh, I have the bat for defense.
And when he finds his mother and they talk, it's like he tells her that he's not been to work because he knows he hasn't been to work.
He worked in it. Well, the other thing too is she is actually initially just trying to push them out because the way that Sandra Torres, the other officer with the younger Latina officer that's with him, doesn't really know how to speak to her kind of mentality. Prendergast is the perfect person to speak to her because he understands crazy because his wife is.
Yeah, exactly. And when she realized it, as this is something that I've heard Drex say many a times, like, well, where the fuck is he going all this time?
Yeah. Nick would just like randomly say that line because like Nick and I would just be like walking around doing whatever, and we would just randomly blurt out a movie line. Like I'll be getting ready to do something. Like I remember I was at his place once. Like I was like opening the fridge to like get a drink, and Nick goes, "Tommy, no." He hits me with the best of the best line. It's just like because that's just what dudes do. They just these lines and there's certain lines, man. It's like, but it like that line is so simple, but like think about it. That's very disturbing because like let's use that in the modern context, right? What if a kid tells you, "Yeah, I've been going to school every day," and you find out they haven't been at university for like 4 months? Wouldn't you be like, so what have you been doing? Because I've seen you with a book bag. You pretend that you
leave the house every day.
You leave the house. What have you been doing? Where are you and what are you doing? Whatever you find out next is probably going to be something dark. You see what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
because someone who works and they're telling you the truth, there's not much there. It's just kind of like, oh yeah, they're going to work, right? They work. That's what they work. But if someone is gone all day and then they come out in the evening, it's like, so what have you been doing though?
Doing all day, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of glad we didn't get the backstory of what he had actually been doing for those last.
I like that too.
Yes, me too.
I don't want to know
when it leaves you guessing. I want to come back to it again, right? This scene because we're
the shotgun 5.
Oh god, yeah, he's. See, but by this point, he's so far gone.
Yes.
Like
to me, the most funny bit here is the fact that he tells him how so wasteful golf is that it spreads around.
Yes, but Michael Douglas is an avid golfer.
Yeah, Michael Douglas is an avid golfer.
Yeah. What's so great about this too is whenever I was going back and I first watched the scene, the thing that first popped in my head, you know what it was, Drex? I was thinking, this is what Occupy Wall Street thought they were doing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
We're really changing the world.
Taking it to the 1%.
We're taking it to the 1%. It's like,
yeah.
You were a minor inconvenience and a lot of you got maced.
Right? Like they literally just send out the goons to get rid of you, like to wash you away. It's like that's literally what happened. Like, how dare these people be in our way of making more money?
I'm going to move forward a little bit, getting to that Santa Monica Pier scene. One scene I don't want to skip over is when he takes the family, he takes the hostage.
What's great also about this too, just Meph, is he actually utilizes the quote where he's like, I'm not economically viable.
Yes. When he talks to them, he kind of realizes
Drex, another case of the white man stealing from the black man.
Yeah, right. I love it because I remember when I first saw this and he repeats the line from Vonnie Curtis Hall. Yeah. Okay. This is, I think, the point where it really sets in how deep this goes, right? Because think about it. The city budget that represents the construction, the social decay was the lost youth of the Latinos. Everything keeps building. When he kind of like really realized what does economically, not economically viable actually mean? He's starting to, as he gets closer to that pier, he starts to realize what that is. Yeah. Like, no, this is the reason why I was laid off. The reason why the construction worker has a job is the same reason why I'm laid off. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. They kind of work on an equilibrium.
Yeah, it's that sort of corporation where efficiency dictates that I will no longer have a job, as opposed to the like bureaucracy section or the government section where there's so much waste because you need to keep all these people working because we have to. Mm-hmm. It's sort of that dichotomy between the efficiency of the corporation and the non-efficiency of the not private sector, but the government sector.
The government sector, yep.
Yeah, and it's when he realizes that, he literally is talking to this nice family stable
great,
family, rich family.
no, what's great about it is they're not the rich ones.
Oh, they're house sitting or something. No?
He's the caretaker, and he's like, oh, when he's on vacation, he lets me use the house. That's when all the vitriol that he comes in is like, you put barbed wire on your fence, cut my hands like this, and the caretaker thinks he's part of the security team. It's like, are you part of the security? No, I'm not. It's like, oh, well, we don't even own this place. I'm just the caretaker. And as soon as that switch flips, you can see his Foster's mindset change. So he actually starts to empathize with the caretaker and his family.
He kind of visibly relaxes into
yeah. Well, then even when he gets his own blood on that little girl, he feels this immediate revulsion, like he's done something terrible. He's like, no, that's your own blood.
And of course, it kind of escalates as he breaks into his ex-wife's place and he watches the old videos, kind of reflecting, oh, this is how the good times were.
The good times were and how they went bad.
And how they went bad.
And also that goes back to the last bit about, just as a quick callback to the last bit with Prendergast and the mother, where she openly admits that she's afraid of him.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And as it turns to this, you kind of see, oh, this is a nice family. How come they've broken up? And suddenly you kind of get a glimpse of his sort of intense personality and how it could be really volatile. And from the woman's perspective, it's like, I don't want to be with this guy because he didn't hurt me. I think she even says it to Pendergrass at some point. He never hurt me.
No, she says it to one of the other officers.
Oh, the other officers.
It's like, well, did he ever hit the child or hurt the child? No, but I thought he might.
Yeah, he might do it.
Yeah.
And that's why she
was
broke
capable
it off.
of it. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to get to that last scene. I'm going to get to this.
We did see the video with also with the water gun, and we do just have Prendergast having his moment where just telling his wife off finally. Where it's like, listen, okay, I got my last day. I got some shit to do. All right, I'll be home.
It's like, when are you gonna come home? It's like, I'll be home when I'm home, because he was during. I think it was after the female cop got shot, right? Or just before she got shot.
It was before it. It was before they went to the house.
As they were going to go into the house. It was like, I'll be there when I'm there.
Because this also sets up a different arc for Prendergast, because before he's very kind of mild-mannered, a little bit meeker than most. Again, last day he's trying to basically take it easy for his wife's mental state.
Yeah.
But you kind of see him go off a little bit on the deep end, starting with when they have that surprise little going away for him and the stripper comes in, and the one asshole detective makes a remark about his wife and clocks him.
Yeah.
Right.
Which, I mean, and that kind of goes into something that people know, like people's mental state, man, like certain jokes. It's like, bro, you gotta be able to read the room.
It's not okay, man.
yeah, you gotta read the room.
Yeah.
Like if someone's going through something that you know of, you might want to just go ahead and just keep that comment to yourself.
Yeah. So the last bit, the most intense part, where Bill Foster, or defense, whatever you want to call him, kind of realizes that wait. I'm the
bad guy. Yeah.
It's like, didn't you? And the answer is very immediate. It's like, yeah, because Pendergrass is immediate. It's like, yeah, you are. And the realization that this whole journey that he's been through all today didn't really help himself. And because he realizes he's the bad guy and there's no way out, he will not be caught and going and sent to prison. He is at this point, when you talk about the breaking point where he kills a guy and there's no turning back.
Yeah, the point.
This is the point where he realizes there was no turning back. I think, Because up to this moment, even though he was threatening the family and kind of didn't realize where he was at, even though he was threatening that the golfer dude, kind of to me represented the not old guard, but the sort of conservative Republican side of LA, which is the upper class, upper echelon of Beverly Hills. And this is the moment where it's like, am I the bad guy? Yes, you are. And he doesn't say anything. He just realizes it. And then he'll just, well, I have a gun. If I pull it, one of us might die. And this gets really intense for both of them because Pendergrass is on his last day, but also Bill Foster is there on his last day, but he just doesn't know it yet.
Well, again, they have that whole entire red herring too, that the narrative thread where everyone keeps telling him, "Be careful, it's your last day," or "So many cops die on their last day." Where you're thinking as an audience, you're trying to essentially just read it for what it is. You're thinking, oh well, one of them's gonna die. Probably both of them are gonna die, and that's gonna be the end of the movie.
I genuinely thought when I saw this for the very first time, I saw it in the theater. I wasn't supposed to be there, but whatever.
I wouldn't think so because God, you would have only been.
I was 14.
14, yeah.
Yeah, well, it was not rated as well. Let's just say that. I had a good friend that could get me into a lot of these, the more artsy movies. So he got me into this movie. He got me into Pulp Fiction.
I was saying, he was a friend who got you into Pulp Fiction. Yeah.
Yeah,
I remember.
the same dude who got me into Pulp Fiction got me into this
Didn't
movie.
he also get you into Reservoir Dogs as well?
No, I didn't see Reservoir Dogs in the theaters.
I'm sorry, I'm thinking of somebody else.
I was basically living in a very small town and got to Tel Aviv, which is the major city. Mm-hmm. And he was the same age as me, and his mother was a director at a TV station, the only TV station. And she had comps for tickets for movies like a critic. So I got to see this before it actually came out.
Okay, so you basically got a screener.
I saw this with no subtitles. I saw it that early.
Yeah, okay.
There was no subtitles. And when I saw this for the very first time, it's like, I've seen enough movies in my life, even though I was 14. I've seen enough movies in my life. I think this is going the way this is going. I just didn't realize this is not those kinds of movies. This movie is much more special. And
it's to that
when
point
he drew the thing, you don't notice it. Especially when we watch this for the very first time, you don't notice he draws a non-lethal weapon.
Yep.
Yeah. The cop fires because he's trained to do so, and that little squirt before he falls, with the smirk to the cop, is like, I got you.
Well, because Robert Duvall, he actually wipes his face and he goes, I would have got you.
Yes. Yeah.
And what's great is I think this is one of the best early depictions, especially in the 90s, before it became the common trend of subverting the audience's expectation.
Yep. Yeah, but in a good way.
Yes,
in a good way. Yeah, I think so too, because in the 90s, you had a lot of these movies that wanted not to be your typical American 80s the winner gets the girl kind of movies.
Well,
there
that really
came a lot of those in the 90s.
That really started off of we've talked about this before, the rise of the independents, especially with the rise of Miramax. That's really started it, and Tarantino's, meteoric rise.
Yep, but because the story was good and there was a point to everything, those worked, and not just subverting your expectation just to subvert your expectation, and which is it's a cop out these days. I think it's a
Yes.
real easy cop out to tell a story, turn it on its head, just to turn it on its head.
Yep.
Not
Just for the sake
regarding
of doing
into, especially when you do it with comic books and established franchises like Star Wars and Marvel, where you turn it on its head and it doesn't make sense because the lore that you've established so far doesn't work with what the topsy-turvy thing that you wanted to subvert for.
Yes. And in so many ways too, I think where where the writers' room gets together and tries to be like, oh well, look how clever we are.
Yeah.
And
I think that's
where
a lot of it. Just
it's
trying to
almost
be clever.
condescending to the audience, right, Drex? Where it's like, come on.
Yeah, because it breaks the story is what ends up happening. And when you break the story, you wind up in a scenario where it's like you get turned out. You basically kind of get turned off of the story itself, because Gothica was that way. Where you just rolled your eyes like, oh,
yeah,
it was going a good place, and then it was like, oh.
I kind of like Gothica, but never mind. All right, cool. That is basically it. We kind of said everything that we needed to say. All I've got is this is my favorite ever Michael Douglas performance. This is Michael Douglas's favorite performance. This is Kirk Douglas's favorite
performance of his son's
son. This is his favorite movie that his son is in. Amazing film. I can't see anybody else play it. I've went through that list again. I could see other guys who were on the list that could do a fine job, not in the way Michael Douglas does it. It is so far away from Gordon Gekko. It is unreal how it's so far away from Gordon Gekko, and we covered Gordon Gekko on this show.
Yep.
It is very unique. And by the way, if you've seen Basic Instinct that came out a year before, a completely different character whatsoever, and you believe that character, you believe that journey, and you kind of rooting for defense the whole time until it goes complete off the deep end, because you've stopped empathizing with him and just like, please come back, please come back to the common sense. You started with a good common sense, you just took it way too far.
Drex?
That's what
I always root for him, even up until the end of the movie. Like there was never a point where I don't like defense. Because I understand. Like, here's the thing, not excusing the things he does. Like, I understand everything that he does. Like, because you know, a character can do things, even heinous actions, and you understand them. Doesn't mean you agree with them, but you're like, I get it. And my thing is this: I still view the I would say it's the world, right? The world that the character is in is the real villain, because it's what think about it. That's what creates defense. That's what creates the gang members. That's what creates the Nazi. Like, that's what creates, not economically viable. Like, if you think about all the characters in the movie, the world itself is the true villain, because it's creating all of these things. You see what I'm saying? Like whether it's the American dream being collapsed, whether it's a nuclear family collapsing, whether it's a mental health issue, every single part of the world creates all of these people.
Feelings?
So in so many ways, defense is a victim of circumstance.
He is. He's basically he's a victim / byproduct of it, and his version of how to combat that is to attack. And of course, like Mephisto said, he just kind of goes too far. But it's like his reaction. If you think about it, he kind of bumbles into these scenarios. You think about
Very
it,
much so.
Because think about
Very
it.
much so.
His objective was to get to the pier. It was not to yeet the Nazi. It wasn't to fight the gang members. It wasn't to use a bazooka. These are all things that just so happened to be available to him at the time he was there.
Yeah.
He really just wanted to go to his daughter's birthday party.
Yeah, that's it. That's all he wanted to do.
Just wanted to go
wanted.
to that birthday party. Just wanted to spend a day or a night or an evening with the family, trying to get back to what he lost, essentially.
Before,
Because, I think the only thing that was his fault was being too intense with the wife. or not conveying his true feelings to the wife, and just keeping
true. That's
it
fair.
bottled in. And when it came out as rage or inappropriate rage, I would say. So
absolutely.
Yeah,
which I think it makes him very human. I mean, you think about how human. Like most people think about it. How often do, especially men, how often are men just walking around talking about their feelings, right? Not often. Yeah. I mean, almost never. So the way guys,
especially at that time too,
especially in the 90s.
Yeah,
this is before the soy boys and before dudes were wearing dresses. Before all of that, it wasn't unusual to. I mean, you ask most guys about like how they interacted with their dad. Your dad didn't have some breakdown to you. It was like this: do this. Here's what you need to learn about that. It was very. They were basically kind of talking at you. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Your dad didn't like put his arm around you and almost, oh yeah, son, let me tell you about these feelings I have. Never. Never.
From what you told about your dad, Drex, if that happened, it would have been what, world shattering to you.
Yeah, it'd be so surreal. It'd be like, I mean, it'd be like Eric Foreman in that 70s show, right?
Eric and Red having to sit down, like having to sit down, like, dumbass. I'm gonna bawl my eyes out and tell you about the first time I got my heart broken. Like, what are you? Who?
Yeah, what? Who are you? Yeah, it's so. Yeah. But if you ask a lot of guys, man, a lot of guys when they think about their dad or grandpas and stuff, like these guys were not emoting. So, and I know people who went to war, right? Uncles and stuff. So, like, who knows what kind of feelings and stuff they got bottled up, right? Experiences, horrific, heinous war crimes. Because they were following orders, you don't know, right? Think about it, and that's the reason why I've always empathized with them when she goes, "So where's he been this whole time?" That's kind of what happens to an actual war veteran. So, like, think about it. Ask a war veteran, like, "So what did you do in Iraq, or what did you do in Vietnam?" And they're like, "Yeah, I don't want to talk about it." You know something bad happened, right? You know they saw something bad or they did something bad. But the fact that someone says, "I don't want to talk about it," lets you know it had to be something terrible.
Yeah.
And only the true psychopaths be like, this is how many bodies I've got.
Yeah. Think about it. Like Mephisto, wouldn't you be disturbed if you asked somebody about Vietnam and they went to because think about it, only sociopaths can go into detail. You ever notice that? Like when you watch Jeffrey Dahmer
most
talking,
of the people
this is what I did with the bodies.
No. Most of the people who went through that kind of experience is like, you know what? It's better than I don't tell you.
Yep.
It's just better that I don't tell you, because if I tell you, I will either break down because I'll re-experience it and I don't want to because it's horrific, or B, you don't want me to tell you because you don't want to know how things actually work.
Are.
If they actually are.
Or C, I don't want that to change.
Yeah, it's gonna change your perception of that person. Yeah. It's gonna change your perception of a lot of things. So it's like it's easier for me to just kind of like compartmentalize. So I mean, there's no difference. The fact that he's going to work every day, but you don't know what he's doing. The fact that a person went to war and they don't talk about it. It's really the same experience.
There's a blink if you miss it moment that in the mother's place, you've got a plaque that says Purple Heart William Foster.
Yeah, and also you could actually also see the other members of his family, like the previous generation. Like his father was clearly in the military, so again, he's a byproduct of his.
No. The thing is this: you don't know if the Purple Heart is for William Foster Senior or Junior.
Yeah. Agreed. Yeah. I'm gonna assume it's got to be the dad though, just because like he would have mentioned if he was a soldier. You see what I'm saying? He would have mentioned that.
It could be,
but I mean, you never know. I mean, that's
again. Also Bill's job too, where it's like, well, no, I did my job as an American because I helped defend the country. Because he hasn't mentioned that he's a veteran.
Yeah, he has
a reference for veterans, but he mentioned that he did work for someone who was essentially a defense contractor. Yep. So. Yeah, in his own way, he kind of mentally can do those own mental gymnastics where he is a veteran too, trying to defend the country. So yeah.
All right, cool.
Again, Meph, to your point, go back, rewatch this film. You'll pick up more on it.
You'll pick up a lot more if you really want to stop everything and watch the settings, the everything that is on the wall, everything that is along the route of the gang signs, the murals, all that good stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for watching. One more thing before we go. Next week, we are starting our October Horror Month, and why
It's
not
spoopy.
start it? Yeah, why not start it with a nice, good, hearty classic? Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Oh, that's
Because why the fuck not? We're going to be joined by Miss Horror Amarada, who is anxious to talk to us about that movie, because we've been DMing about horror movies and what she likes. She is a massive horror fan.
We're gonna have a
she,
lot of
she
fun.
deserves extra kudos, to be honest, and I'll tell you why. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but there's virtually no females you've ever encountered that are into horror movies. Like it's like 1%. Like because I hate scary movies. I hate scary movies. That's all you hear, right? You guys ever notice that? Like, and I gotta be honest though. I gotta be fair. There's a lot of dudes who say that I don't like scary movies. It's like Jesus Christ.
It's not that I don't like scary movies. I don't particularly like that genre of movies. Like I said, I can appreciate it for what it was, and me and All My Feelings talked about this. I went back and saw The Evil Dead for the project that I'm using. I enjoyed it for whole different reasons. Cinematography, the way the Sam Raimi is doing his shots, the way Bruce Campbell is acting in that movie. Fucking phenomenal. And you've got the horror movie tropes that you were looking for, if you're looking for those tropes, but they're done in a very different way. Watch the review. It's coming out. I don't know. I don't remember what it was. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, please go follow Drex, because he promised us he'll do a vlog, and it has not happened yet, but it will
shall be there.
It will happen. It will happen. For this show, especially where I find my captions, you can always interact with me on Twitter or Twix or X or whatever I'm going to call it, at Meffistoe there. You can go to Instagram if you don't like Elon and you love Zuck, at Mephisto79. Or if you don't like both and you like Papa Susan, you can go to the Reel McCoy Podcast at gmail.com and email me. If not, comment section down below. Like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. And we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Peace out.
You're still here? It's over. Go home.